All right. Welcome back, everyone, to the Film List. You got a list? Send it to me, thefilmlist@gmail.com. And remember, you can go to dvrpodcast.com to check out all the stuff we're doing, all the shows we're covering, everything. Right now, we're covering DTF St. Louis. Ando and Axel are doing a great job with that. I'm going to be guest hosting in, I think, a couple of weeks. I think episode 6. So that should be fun. And if you want to get ad-free pods, exclusive pods that aren't on regular feeds, or podcasts very early, just go to patreon.com/DVR. And for a couple of bucks a month, you become patron and help us keep the lights on. And remember, check out the Star City Murders. You can go to Tubi or Amazon Prime, put in the Star City Murders, check it out. Good movie. The guy that's here today as my guest, what is that, Christopher? Guest, is a man who is my father. I call him Dad, but in the podcast community, because this is his debut, we call him Ken Solo. So you got Heath Solo and Ken Solo, even though my real name is on the Zoom, because you can check us out on YouTube. The video will be up, so you can actually watch this because there may be a lot of props. But my guest, Ken Solo, is here. We're going to count down, Dad, your 25 favorite films of all time. I'm excited. How you doing?
Good. Tired. I started 3 weeks ago counting down. I got up to 26 last night after 3 weeks, no sleep. From 150 down there. Now, Heath Solo asked me if I wouldn't mind thinking about the shows that I've watched over my 70 years of watching TV, and I took it as a compliment that he was interested and thought it'd be a fun thing to do. So I started going through Googling old TV by year, by the different providers. Because back in the early days, all we had was 2 channels. We had NBC and CBS. It wasn't until 1960 that we get ABC added to the list. But went through it, brought in all the shows that I liked. Came up with 150 over that 70 years.
That's it?
Well, that I really considered making the top 25. So I did that, brought in one, brought in another, which I like best, positioned them, went to the 3rd show, 4th show, 5th show, and then went through it 150. So maybe someday we'll share the whole 150 list, but for today's podcast, it's the top 25. And I'm pretty excited because I am obsessed with TV.
Zoom back. Other way. There you go, right there, near your chin.
Obsessed with TV. I love TV, especially the biggest times watching TV for me was as a kid up until I was a teenager. And then since I retired 10 years ago, in between, I spent a lot of time on the road, so it was difficult to watch TV, but some of those shows have made it, either the original broadcast or later on. I have a couple that made the list that I had not watched when they first aired. So I'm excited, but I'm excited about those because it was something new that I was able to see recently that did make the list.
That's awesome. I am excited because a lot of the shows that you've enjoyed were, when I was a kid, they were all like syndication and the boom of syndication, especially in the 80s. Mm-hmm. Seemed to be a lot more, the Brady Bunch, stuff like that. But other shows that we watched together as a family that aired in the 60s or 70s. So it was because was it like that? It wasn't like that in the 70s. Was it really cable television that kind of started?
First time we had cable was early 80s. I remember going up to work up in Vermont from New England originally. I went up to Vermont and they had this thing called, and it was only in the hotel. It was called HBO. Wow. I got to watch movies in my room. It was pretty scary. But no, there wasn't syndication. And then if you missed a show, you had to wait till maybe it came on in reruns. If it didn't come in reruns, you never saw that show. Today, when I look at some of the older shows that I watch, I see some episodes and I look at my wife and I say, we never saw that. I never saw that episode, because maybe it wasn't shown as a rerun. But today it's, now you get shows that are 10 episodes are dropped all at once and you binge watch them through the night. So it's a little bit different, but there's so much to watch. Roku TV has a lot of the shows I grew up with on Roku. Some of them may have made the top 25, may not have made it. But I'm excited about the top 25, Heath, and I hope your viewers and listeners get excited and brings back some memories for them. So I'm ready to get started.
Let's do this. Let's do it. Number 25.
Number 25. Back in the 60s was the James Bond era, and that was everything spy related was just gangbusters out there. And a show came on Tuesday nights at 8:30. 8:30 must have been a half-hour show. No, it was an hour show because back then prime time was 7:30.
Oh,
7:30 to 11. So this show came on Tuesday night, 8:30 for 1 hour. It featured Robert Vaughn and David McCallum. Yes, David McCallum, the same actor who went on to stardom also in a show called NCIS as Ducky, the ME. But that was the United Network for Command for Law Enforcement. It was just crazy how kids my age in their early teens watched that show. And it was on, and then it went to Friday nights later on. And then they also had a spinoff called The Girl from U.N.C.L.E., which barely made a season.
Did you mention that it was the man from U.N.C.L.E.? I don't think we did. No.
I just mentioned the stars. Okay, I left you guessing. But it is called The Man from U.N.C.L.E. I did mention UNCLE, but I didn't mention.
I thought you tore something. I tore your UCL.
I told my UNCLE.
Yeah. Wow.
But being a television fanatic that I am, I have a few things to share with you today. This is my Uncle book, my companion. That before there was the internet, I would look up every episode and see who the stars were and all that kind of stuff. And then also, back when I was a kid, we had to play our Uncle card game, the Man from U.N.C.L.E. card game. And this cost me a boatload, 99 cents.
Oh, that's
back in 1964. I still have it today, and I've enjoyed playing this with my grandchildren.
The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Guy Ritchie, one of my favorite directors, did a movie with Henry Cavill and Armie Hammer. They did a Man from U.N.C.L.E. and it's really good. I mean, it'd be interesting to see with you being one of your favorite shows how it would be, because some of these reboots later on aren't very good, but this is a good one. You gotta check it out if you haven't.
Yeah, I tend to be a traditionalist and a loyalist and a completist. So I have trouble with reboots. I give them a shot, but there's nothing like the original show, in my opinion. But
understood.
So moving on from 25, are we ready for number 24?
Let's 24 it. Ricky Henderson.
One of the first TV shows I remember as a kid, about 4 years old, watched it with my brother, who's 5 years older than me. And the first episodes I saw were probably reruns from the early seasons that were black and white. And then later on it was color. But it was Superman, my first original superhero that I really liked. The Man of Steel, starring George Reeves. A couple different Phyllis Coates and Noel Meade played Lois Lane, and Ted Lawson played Jimmy Olsen. And it was interesting. I was with my brother down in Florida, visiting with him last week, and we were talking about some of our old shows we watched. This came up, and we both had the same favorite episode of all time. And it's when Jimmy goes to Dagger Island to visit his aunt, and they were all kidnapped and put in a cave, and it was a smuggling outfit that came in, and they were playing that they were his aunt, and Superman comes to save the day. But Superman definitely was a big show for me as a kid, and my earliest memories of watching any show was Superman. And yes, I do have all the DVDs. And he does fly through the air.
Do you remember this happened a lot in, I want to say the 80s, maybe the 90s somewhat, but didn't they like reissue something with the Superman and the Mole Men or something?
Yes, they redid it. I think the original pilot was Superman and the Mole Men, and they did show it in one episode, but I think they came out with some other footage that hadn't been done.
Right.
I think that happened, and they came out with an hour TV movie or something like that.
Yeah, I remember.
Or we may have just had the same bad dream.
It's very possible. Very possible. All right. You ready? This is a very personal show to me.
Well, in 1980, I was traveling a lot with my job. Tried to get home to see this show when I could. It was a CBS 10 Thursday nights. I believe it was on 9 to 10. So I usually left on Monday, got back on Thursday night, and usually back home for this time to watch this show. And it was called Magnum PI. Starred Tom Selleck. I just absolutely love the cast. I love the premise of it and the tie back to Vietnam, because I grew up during the Vietnam War, and so that, and I had a cousin who was in the Green Beret and a couple of close friends who were in Vietnam, and of course it took place in Hawaii, which is one of my favorite places, and so everything about the show I loved, and it got off a little slow the first couple of seasons. But then in season 3, they started bringing some well-known actors in. They brought in Dana Winter, I remember, who I've always liked, and she brought some class to the show. And then Ernest Borgnine, another favorite character of mine, especially with McHale's Navy, as Captain McHale. Well,
Captain Tennille? Oh no, that's the band. Yeah. I worked on that film Shade with Ernest Borgnine's grandson.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh. So Magnum was definitely one of my favorites, and pulled in at 23. And I do have all the DVDs. And recently, my wife and I just watched every season of Magnum. 8 seasons.
Oh, you finished it? You guys finished it?
Finished. Well, no, I'm sorry, we didn't. We got stuck. I went to visit my brother, so it got tied up. We didn't finish, but we'll finish probably in the next few weeks. But a great show to watch and have fun with, and of course, rest in peace. John Hillman, who played Iggy Baby. It's just I always thought he was British. I didn't know he was from Texas.
So this is one of the first primetime dramas I remember watching as a kid, especially we watched it together. And really, I think season like 3 or 4 is when I remember started watching it. Really got into Magnum, big Tom Selleck fan. And of course, we have this joke in our family. So there's this one episode where Magnum, I think he's on an island and he gets pinned under a plane. And it's kind of like a bottle episode with just him there, and there's a spider, and you recently probably saw this episode, did you, or haven't seen it?
Yeah, and he I don't know who's on screen more, his watch or him, because he's trying to get out of it, and and he keeps watching his watch. It was a difficult episode to watch, and he called it a very personal episode when he filmed it.
I think they announced it in the trailer, and we've been making for 40 years. We've been making it's a very personal episode. It's a very personal episode.
But Tom Selleck did a wonderful job.
Rick TC.
While that show was filming, I was working at a college outside of Boston, and one of the students who worked in my office was from Hawaii. So I couldn't help but questioning her about the cast of Magnum and how they treat the islanders. and she had nothing but great things to say about Tom Selleck and the cast, and how much the Islanders really appreciated them filming there, and how he treated the natives there. So very respectful of the island, and that meant a lot too.
And I'm wondering if the success of Magnum, especially shooting on Hawaii, because we've had a lot of shows since then actually shoot in Hawaii. Because, I mean, Hawaii Five-0, the original one, was that shot in Hawaii or was that at a back lot in Burbank?
That wasn't a show I watched.
Okay. Spoiler alert, it will not be making it.
But there was Baba Black Sheep. There was Tales of the Gold Monkey. And the character who played Jeff McKay in Magnum, who gets killed off in early season 3, he played in all of those shows. They had a lot of the same actors played in shows that were filmed in Hawaii.
I could talk hours about Magnum, but we don't have time.
But I want to spend a little extra time. This next show comes into 22. But for me, this was definitely one of my favorite TV shows of all time. It only lasted a couple of years on the air, but it was a comedy team, and I personally knew all the routines. I actually, when I was 12 years old, entered a talent show, acting with a friend as them. I also had a cousin who liked them, and we did routines together and practice. And I would write the different routines. So we would do, whenever I went to visit him, we would do them for the family. But their show had a great group of talented writers. Steve Martin was on this.
Oh, Steve.
Rob Reiner started out on this. Mason Williams, who actually wrote Classical Gas and performed it on this show, and some of the top rock performers of the time. The show was on from 67 to 69, and it's called the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour. And if you ever get an opportunity, if you're a Smothers Brothers fan, Tom just passed away recently, I think last year. But this is a great read about Tom and Dick Smothers and their comedy. I've seen them live several times, and I just can't say enough about them. They really helped me with my sense of humor over the years. And to this day, I have all their records. I still listen to their records today and laugh when I hear them. And I even introduced them to my grandchildren. Maybe they're not ready for them yet.
Probably not.
But it was a fun time. And then also I have to just
and
share
the book,
with
real
you,
quick, Dad. The book is called Dangerously Funny. By David. The Uncensored Story of the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour.
Yeah, they got banned by CBS. They went out with their political views, and CBS bashed them a couple times. They came back with another show after that later on, and before that they had a show that was Tommy Was an Angel, and he came back to help out his brother Dick. That was only on one season, but I enjoyed that too. But it didn't make the list. But again, sharing with you another bit of my memorabilia, my pride and joy, my autographed picture of Tom and Dick Smothers.
Nice.
So I have it right by my TV in my family, and it reminds me of all the laughter and joy these two individuals brought to me.
Yeah, they're super funny. And I thought maybe they got kicked off the air because Steve Martin, being a writer, tried to get the Brazos pilot somehow. No, okay.
He wasn't even a wild and funny guy.
That's true. All right. 21?
21.
Right, 21.
21. No, wasn't that show 24? No, 24 is not. No, number 21. Going back to the summer of the 65 to 67, the show was on the air. It was only on for, I believe, 3 seasons. It starred a bunch of guys that were out in the West as members of the Texas Rangers. And it was kind of a comedy Western. These 3 Texas Rangers would always tend to have a bet on who was going to get the bad guys, and they would always trick Reese Bennett, known as played by Neville Grant, a great character actor over the years. Came on. It was my go-to show at 10 o'clock on Friday nights. Also, this show was on NBC. And it was just, I couldn't wait for school to be over on Friday because some of my favorite shows were on that night. It was big TV night. I was 12 years old when these shows first came on. But this show was called Laredo.
I remember because back in the 80s when we got our VCR, we were recording so many shows and stuff. And I remember Laredo was one of them on your list. And as a kid, I was like, I didn't like it because it wasn't, some of the other shows.
Well, that's why I never made you watch it.
Laredo. Yeah.
And rounding out the 20s, another one of my favorites. This show came on ABC Thursday nights, 8 o'clock. Did make it up. As much as I like the show, it was only on for 2 seasons.
Is that it? Only 2? I felt like it was on for like a decade.
Yeah. Well, it was about a show. It was just after the Civil War. It had a great theme song. It starred some big time actors at the time. Ken Berry was the captain. It had Forrest Tucker, and I got to meet him. He was, I think, 99 years old, but Larry Storch. And that show was called F Troop. And that show was so much fun. After the show, we would talk about it at school. And I mean, everybody, all the guys in my class, they loved it. And I started a fan club. I was president. And every week, I would put together a quiz based on the show. So I would come up with 10 questions about the show. And if anyone could get all 10 right, they took over as president of the fan club. And no one ever got more than 8. And I guess I made sure that I come up with some obscure thing that happened in the show, like, what color was Wrangler Jane's ribbon in her hair? But of course it was in black and white, so nobody really knew. So if they guessed blue, I said pink. If they said pink, I guessed blue, I guess. But it was funny. I hadn't seen some of my classmates in over 50 years. We had a reunion of our class, mini reunion with the anniversary of the school that we went to. And one of the guys I hadn't seen in close to 60 years came up to me. He says, "Ken, so good to see you." He says, "You remember those Friday mornings with the quizzes you put out?" He said, "I wanted to be president in the worst way. I never got." He says, "I did get 8 of the questions right one time. After 60 years, I don't see the guy, and that's what the first thing he says to me." He remembered that. So, F Troop, a comedy. I still watch it to this day. It's hilarious, and they were just incredible. With Joe Brooks was on that, and Melody Patterson, who played Wrangler Jane, and it's just the whole thing. And I think Colonel Agon was from Passaic, New Jersey, if memory serves me correct. That just popped into my head. And then again, not to be outdone by the band from Uncle, of course, there's my 99-cent F Troop card game that we still play with the grandkids.
F Troop, yeah, this was on religiously growing up in I don't know if it was Nickelodeon picked it up or one of the stations, but I remember watching it all the time as a kid. I'm a big fan of the F Troop, but that's a good one.
All right, so we finished the 20s, and we're going to hit the teens now. We're working our way up to number one, and this is a show that I have watched for over, I think, 27 seasons. It's just an incredible show. It's still on. It still draws me every week. It started in 1999, so this is its fourth. This would make it in its fourth decade. It originally was on Tuesdays at 10, and then Thursdays now at 9. It takes place in New York City. It's one of those shows, part of the Law and Order. What do you call it? Law and
Franchise?
Order? Franchise, thank you. But a Special Victims Unit, SVU. Marissa Hargitay plays in that. Chris Maloney in the early years. There's been a ton of people who have come through there. I don't have any memorabilia for this show, but I face
no bodies or
no bodies, no. But Ice-T, Finn in that show just is incredible, and they never seem to miss a beat. Whoever they bring in, the changes they make, but I think the glue is the incredible actress Marissa Hargitay, who is Jane Mansfield's daughter. And I remember the day that unfortunately she got in a car accident. I was out fishing with my aunt and uncle and my brother, and we heard the news on the radio. And I remember that. It's weird how you remember some things, but I think that was 1966, and she was 2 years old. She was just a baby, and she was in the limo with her mom. But a great show, and I'll watch it. I'll be watching it until it's not on the air, or I'm not on the air anymore.
Well, you're going to be cut off after this pocket. No, SVU. Of course, I'm a big Law and Order fan. SVU is fantastic. Yeah, Mariska Hargitay, she is the glue. And one thing I will say about SVU, Dad, is that even though it's been on 27 years, it seems like, I want to say the last few years, I'm a little behind this season, but it's gotten, even though some cast members have left, I feel like it's gotten really, there was a couple of seasons that were really good that I was surprised late in its run. Because I know they brought in like Bruno, and they've brought in some new people that some have worked, some have already left the show. It's kind of tough, but yeah.
Well, Kelly Gitters came back.
Yeah,
and of course Finn's there. He had some issues, but he's back from the shooting, and I just absolutely love it. I'm sure that can it get better? I don't know. It's 27-year run. It's kind of amazing.
It was one storyline where I think a gang was after Olivia. It was a couple seasons ago, and it was like there was this scene out in the street where they tried to bump her off, and it was like they just kind of start pulling. And then, of course, the stuff where this was years ago when I was on TV Talk, but when she got kidnapped by the guy who was held hostage, like there's been some serious storylines that have. Man, this show's great, and you're right, Ice-T, man. He's got the one-line. He's got the Jerry Orbach one-liners for these days. So.
Well, I saw one night I was having trouble sleeping. I went up to my study and put the TV on. It was some old Western, and Marissa Hargitay was in it. This was before SVU, when she was first starting out, and she played it took place in the West, but she was I guess she was like a Black Widow, a wife. She would marry guys and then kill them. And it was kind of funny to see her in that role. Way back then, because it must have been like 40 years ago or so. In one of her early acting assignments. I don't even remember the show, but it was fun to watch her. Having the respect I do for her as an actress.
Nice. All right, number 18.
Okay. Well, 18. This particular show was on in the 80s. It was one of the shows that I did get to see. It was 89 to 94, and it was about time travel. And time travel has always fascinated me. But this was even more interesting because it was time travel within your own lifetime. It came on and was fascinated by it, and couldn't wait every week to see where they were taking the character next. But Scott Bakula's Quantum Leap was the show, and it also had Dean Stockwell, who played the hologram. Al would help him out, and just a fascinating storyline. I really enjoyed it. Just recently, my wife and I went through again, watching it in its entirety. But again, first episode, first all the way to the end. And one of the things, it was an episode where he's in the riots out at Watts in '69, I think it was. And he plays an African American student, and his mother is played by Cece Pounder. And they later became two members of the cast in NCIS New Orleans, as he played Pride and she played the ME. But it was just fascinating because I didn't catch that when I first saw the show back in probably 90 or 91. But they caught it this time around, and so it's not uncommon to see common people who are in series end up in other series together, either through the casting director, I guess, who likes their work, or just the actors who enjoy working together each. But Quantum Leap, again, another series that I have on DVD, Blu-ray. Well, because I think my son, Mr. Upscale, bought the Blu-ray.
I like to upscale you.
And it was a fun watch again, seeing that, and I highly recommend it.
And I highly recommend watching the video because the props are just amazing here. We've had nothing like it on our pods before.
Oh,
Lucky 17.
I just have things that I want to show.
No, I love it. It's perfect. All right, 1-7.
1-7. My family never had a color TV until 1971.
Wow.
But in 1965, I think it was, I had an uncle who was at a club, and they had a raffle. It was Easter. And he bought a ticket. He put it in a jar. They picked it out. And then when he came to my house that afternoon, lo and behold, he had the winning ticket. So he lived in a second tenement in the city with his wife and two sons, and he was getting a color TV.
Oh.
So 6 years earlier. So every chance that I got as a kid, I would go to my aunt and uncles, stay with my cousins, because we got to watch color TV. And there was only, I think, 2 shows on that were on in color. One was the Johnny Carson show, to the Tonight Show, and the other was one of my all-time favorite westerns. A father and his 3 sons on the Ponderosa, called Bonanza. Now, this show was on for 14 years. Started in 1959, ran to 1973. Now, I have never seen the shows in the 70s, but my wife and I, again, are in the process of watching that show. We're only on season 9. We've still got 5 seasons to go. And my wife's all-time favorite actor happens to be in this show, Michael Landon. So we had to watch all the other Michael Landon shows first, and then get back to Bonanza. But it's another show that they brought a lot of things to the forefront. And they would bring like bigotry. There was no place for bigotry, and would deal with those issues. It was a great show. Had a long run along with Michael, and then had one of my mother's favorite actors, Colonel Roberts, who played Adam, and then one of my favorite, Dan Blocker, who played Hoss. Hoss is my favorite on the show. Of course, Lorne Green the fatherly figure. And it was just interesting with the characters they would bring on, everything taking place, around Virginia City, and the magnificent property, the Ponderosa on Lake Tahoe.
Oh, is that
in Nevada? That's where it takes place. That's on their property. I just saw a recent episode where they decided to have their own steamboat because they transported lumber from their properties. But even that, back in those days, they did, for every tree they cut down, they planted another tree. And then he would not allow anyone to come in and cut timber. He would cut it, and they would always replace. He took care of Ponderosa. That was first the primary objectives of him, to maintain the land. And of course, none of you will get this, but it's something that Heath knows that Max would appreciate.
No, Max would appreciate that.
Maybe in a future podcast.
I'll explain the.
But again, for my collection, there's just a little old storybook that these came out in the 60s and all the shows. I think I have the whole collection of all the different shows on these Whitman books. This is the authorized edition with my wife's favorite, my favorite character on the front.
Yeah. Long Green from Battlestar Galactica. That's where I knew him from first.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna
number 16. Another show, another old Western.
Oh.
This show started in 1959. I started watching it 7 years old with my brother. Watched it every Friday night. Again, 7:30 CBS. Back when 7:30 prime time was starting at 7:30, and it was just it was wonderful. Naturally, from being 16 of all time, it was one of my favorite Western shows to this day. Gil Favor, Rowdy Yates. The show was called Rawhide. And I have to tell you a little story. Watch those shows. Really like the show. I'm flying from Grand Rapids, Michigan to Chicago probably about 12 to 14 years ago. And I'm checking in through it wasn't TSA back there, but I'm going through security. And this guy's in front of me, and he's got a guitar. And I had recently taken my guitar to the Bahamas because a friend of mine and I were performing at the company I work for, our national sales meeting. And so I knew you had to loosen your strings on that guitar. So I said to this gentleman, I says, did you loosen your strings? He says, yeah. He says, that's what they told me. He says, I just got this guitar. I visited my father in a nursing home. He gave me his guitar, so I'm taking it back home. And he lives in Napa. So I said, oh, well, good luck. And so I go on the plane. Who am I sitting next to? The guy with the guitar. But there's a seat in the middle. And so I get a work phone call, and I get on the phone, and then this woman sits between us. Now, I'm on the work phone call, but I can hear the gentleman and the woman talking about who they are and what they do. And he had just mentioned that he got into writing children's books. And she was the director of special education for the Philadelphia School District. So they started talking about children books and the impact that children books have on kids and how they use them in their training. And she mentions that one of the books that she uses is the Diary of a Wimpy Kid series. Well, the author of that series is a personal friend of mine. So when I got off the phone, I joined in the conversation and mentioned that I knew Jeff Kinney. We were good friends, and I'm actually a character in one of his books. Number 6, Cabin Fever. If you ever want to check it out, it's not Kenny Solo. It would be Kenny Santazzo. But so we got to talking, and then the flight was one of those flights that was like 59 minutes, and we changed time zones, so I actually got there before I left. But when we landed, he introduced ourselves to each other, and the gentleman mentioned that his name was Rowdy Harrington. And unfortunately, I didn't know who he was, but I did say, "Oh," I said, "Well, your parents are big Rawhide fans," being a Rawhide fan. And he says, "That's what Clint Eastwood asked me the first time we made a movie together." And I go, "Oh, you're in the movie profession?" He says, "Yeah." He says, I'm a director." And I said, "Oh, what are you known for?" And he said,
Roadhouse. Patrick
Roadhouse.
Swayze.
So naturally, I don't know if he's telling the truth. So I'm like Googling him underneath my seat. And sure enough, he comes up and he is the director. And so it was a fun ride, but he was getting into writing a children's book. Because I have to check him out because that was about 14 years ago, 15 or 14 years ago. But again, one of my favorite Westerns, the whole crew, Sheb Woolley. We did Purple People Eater from the 50s. I think that was the 50s, late 50s. That's it. That's the one. He was one of the characters in this. But the relationship between Clint Eastwood and Eric Fleming as Gil Favor and Rowdy Yates was incredible. And then he had an accident filming a movie, I believe it was, and actually drowned later on. And then Clint Eastwood, for the last season, took over as the Ramrod. It was okay, but when you lose that main character, it just doesn't have the same effect. But another great show, and
a great cover by the Blues Brothers.
Which brings up another little story. Back in the 80s, we'd be going, my wife and I, we'd go out with family and friends to different nightclubs. And I always I kept $100 bill in my wallet. And every time there was a band playing, regardless of whether it was a polka band or rock band, heavy, whatever it was, I would go up and request the theme from Raw, as seen in the Blues Brothers movie. And if they could play it, I'd give them the $100. And no one to this day had ever
really
played the theme from Rawhide.
Well, so, get Scott Bakula, go back in time and collect that $100.
Yeah, the new meaning of Quantum Leap.
All right. Oh, I'm sensing a theme here.
Yeah, we have a little run on Westerns. My all-time favorite TV shows, or the bulk of them, have a Western flavor. And coming in at number 15, this was on a little bit before I remember, but started with half-hour episodes in 1955. It ran 20 years, 20 seasons, till 1975. Great cast, great storyline, starring James Arness as Matt Dillon. Not the actor, but the show. And it was just, it was a show that the biggest thing I remember, now you remember 635 episodes they did. 635. And when you look at Law and Order, they're at 575. So they haven't even caught up. And because back in the day, they used to do 35 episodes a season. But Dennis Weaver as Chester, the original, who gave up, who one day was fooling around, I guess, and did the walk with the limp. The director liked it. He had to keep it in, and he ended up leaving the show because it took its toll on him faking the limp. That's why he left the show.
Oh, wow.
If you didn't know that. But this show, the interesting thing is, you used to come on at Saturday nights, and I remember my brother and I would never miss it, and we'd be there with our posters and guns to see if we could outdraw Matt Dillon.
Oh.
And that was the opening scene, and we would both draw. My brother would claim he got him. I would claim he got it. I got him. And then we ended up wrestling and fighting over who got him this half the show. But that was every Saturday night, Gunsmoke. And I do have another thing from my collection. It's called TV Westerns. It's the trading cards that Topps put out in 1959 for all of the Western shows that were on CBS. And you can see that the first page is some of the ones from Gunsmoke. So every now and then, when I'm feeling nostalgic, I'll sit up in my study and I'll just look through all the TV westerns that I used to watch as a kid, which include some other favorites. I won't mention what those are, but number 15, Gunsmoke, and then they followed up with all the Gunsmoke movies. Then they had Howard the West was one, the James Arness, who actually is Peter Graves' brother.
Is he really?
You didn't know that? Peter Graves.
I think so. I had no idea.
They were brothers. And the interesting thing is, if you ever get the opportunity to see the first episode of Gunsmoke, John Wayne comes on. Oh, they wanted John Wayne to do it. And he did an intro to introducing James Arness as a fine upcoming actor who you will enjoy on Gunsmoke. So it's it must
a
be
nice endorsement.
Oh yeah,
that might have.
Yeah, and
Burt Reynolds was on Gunsmoke. Wasn't
he? Burt Reynolds, yeah, he played a half-breed blacksmith. I forget his name on that, but well, it must be time to watch it over again. I don't know if I got enough time to watch all these shows.
Yeah, I know.
But Gunsmoke, definitely one that you should watch.
And for a while there, that was the number one running show of all time. And
yeah,
for years, 20 seasons.
20 seasons. And, they were all, back in the day, they were all chain smokers too. But you never see them smoking on camera.
Cut.
But, yeah, it must have had a cut every 5 minutes. Because, what's her name? Diddy. Oh, I can't think of her real name, but she was a heavy smoker. I think she died of lung cancer. Yeah.
All right.
Ready? Move up.
Let's do it.
Okay. Number 14. This was, if I did this a year ago, this show would not have been on my list. But it's not a new show.
No.
Thanks to streaming TV, there was a show that was on back in the late 80s into the late 90s. And I was on the road, so I didn't get to watch much TV. But every chance that I'd get, which wasn't that often, in the early 90s, because it took place near where I was living, I would try to see it. And plus it had a couple of my favorite actors in it. Actually, three to be, two, and somebody else, a character that I really like. So I would watch it whenever I could. So recently, in the last year, my wife and I watched it in its entirety. And I just couldn't believe it, because what it brought in the show was a touch of the old South. And it takes place in Georgia. It was on NBC Tuesday night at 9:00. And I love the cast, and I just love the interaction between the blacks and the whites, the rich and the middle class and the poor, and how they really brought the story to something that I heard about, but until the two solos, Heath solo and Ken solo, went to the Martin Luther King Museum down in Atlanta, visiting one of my good friends and his family. And he had suggested we go there. Never realized some of the stuff that went on in the 60s back there. Because up in the north, you got the cleaned up version of what was going on. But this show is called In the Heat of the Night. starring Carol O'Connor. And I kept, the first couple of episodes, I'm waiting for Archie Bunker to come on. But he was far from it. But and then I had to watch the movie with Rod Steiger and Sidney Poitier. And I had never seen that movie. And a little bit different portrayal of the sheriff. But it was just fascinating. And I was hooked on it. I couldn't watch one episode. I had to watch 2 or 3 at a pop.
Yeah.
And I just thought the acting was incredible. The writing was great. And it became one of my favorite shows of all time. I mean, all the way, I hadn't seen it only a year ago to number 14. So right in the middle of the pack. It just, everything about the show clicks for me. And then I find out after I'm watching it that Carol Connor's son is one of his deputies on the show. And then he struggled with
addiction, right?
Addiction, and he died, committed suicide. I guess he OD'd. It just was a fantastic show. And, to the different characters and their family members that interact and the relationships. Lois Nettleton played Archie Bunker.
He's
Carol O'Connor's girlfriend for a season or 2, and then she was off. They just wrote her out. And then he ends up having a relationship with Nichelle. No, it's not Nichelle Nichols. What's her name? A black actress. Help me out.
I'm supposed to help you out. Anne-Marie Johnson.
Anne-Marie Johnson.
I don't know if she's listed here. I don't know.
Anne-Marie Johnson on In the Heat of the Night. That was.
I don't know what character.
Yeah, that was Howard Rollins' wife. I can't think of her name.
All right.
Great actress. She started on Route 222 back in the 60s. And I can't. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna look it up.
I have a. But they start a relationship. And of course, it's not going over well in town because it's a black-white relationship. But they end up moving in together, and you can see the love that they have and respect for each other between the two of them. But her son doesn't accept the relationship, and he has to deal with that as well. So it's
right in the heat of the night.
Yeah,
I'm going to get the cast here. It's not going as quick as I planned. Okay. Crystal Fox? No, that's Officer Louis.
No, she played one of the
Denise Nichols.
Denise Nichols, thank you.
Harriet DeLong.
Yeah, Harriet DeLong.
Episodes.
Yeah, that was she was in it. She was a councilwoman, and they hit it off, but it took them like 2 seasons to finally get the relationship going because they were both concerned about the black-white issue. So it's just fascinating from a whole different perspective than I was used to.
Right.
So that was number 14.
Nice. That's good. But that's amazing. Like you said, how the access of all kinds of shows now in 2026, where you can go watch full series, but like in the heat of the night, you didn't get a chance to watch it. It impacted you so years later. How it impacted you. That happens a lot with me. Like I'll watch an old show and be like, "This is amazing," and it's fun to like explore like that.
Yeah,
kind of like the next one.
Yeah, here's another one, number 13. Up until I guess it's been 2 years now. This particular show I had never seen, had no intentions of watching. But I was visiting my cousin and his wife in Colorado, out to Denver. Their whole family moved out there. They had 2 daughters, and their families live out there. And then when my cousins retired, they moved out to be near their daughters, son-in-laws, and grandchildren. And so it was just after the release of my son's movie, which is called
The Star City Murders.
There you go. So the plug for the movie, which can be seen on Amazon Prime or Tubi
or wherever you can find it.
wherever good movie watchers go.
There you go. That's why we're
But-
paying the big bucks.
And she's a retired English professor, and we were just sitting chatting after the movie, and she says, "You know what my all-time favorite TV show is?" And she said the name of the movie, and I go, "That doesn't. Oh, do you mean?" And I said it. She goes, "What?" I was pronouncing it wrong, but it was an English movie, English TV show, which is called Downton Abbey. But not watching it, not really caring about it. I was always calling it Downtown Abbey.
Yeah, that's an adult series, I think, that you probably shouldn't be watching, but
Oh, Downtown.
anyway.
Well, I'm an adult,
Well,
but
that's true.
with a kid's heart.
Yeah.
So my wife and I said, "Yeah, let's give this a shot." Val usually is pretty good with this stuff, and let's try it. Well, to talk about binge watching, we went through that like Grant took Richmond, and we absolutely loved it. It was all about England, about the haves and have-nots, the royalty, the
Upstairs, downstairs.
upstairs, downstairs, the servant class, and it was something that I really didn't know a whole lot about. But and then I got even more hooked because the first episode takes the place on the day the Titanic is sunk.
Oh,
So it was a reference to history, and then later on in the show, they go through World War One, and then they're killing people off, and you're getting a change in character in the characters on the show, and then they take in something that was forbidden, but they take in the chauffeur to allow him to marry their daughter, and it was just incredible for us. And then on top of that, they had I think it was 3 movies, so we watched those, and then they made it even better. They came out with last year in the theaters. We got to see it in the theaters, so it was like wow. And it actually beat out In the Heat of the Night just by a tad, and I think it was because of the new movie that came out on top of it.
yeah.
I think that pushed it over the edge. Even though it was a movie, it wasn't a made-for-TV movie or a TV show, but the acting was phenomenal, and it just wowed me. If I had watched it when it originally came on, it might have scored higher, but it was. I've only had 2 years to really talk about it and enjoy it, and but I thought that was quite a high ranking for making it right at the midpoint of the top 25 at 13.
And didn't when you and Mom came out to visit me and Renata, and your flight got canceled, so you guys stayed in the hotel room and got excited because you got to watch one of that.
We got to watch the movies because we had a whole day with nothing to do. The airline, which I'll remain nameless, they just said, "Oh, there was weather and your plane isn't coming in today, so we canceled your flight." So even though all the other flights came in except for yours from the same airport, so we didn't make it out. But 2025 was an interesting year for flights for me, but great year for TV shows.
All right. Speaking of great TV shows, number 12.
Yeah, this is a really big show.
That is.
Yeah. Well, you're probably too young to remember.
I mean, I know the show and I've seen clips and stuff, but yeah.
But number 12 is a show that every Sunday night we would watch at 8 o'clock on CBS. And I watched it as a kid, but then in 1964, the show really took off. In February of 64, they brought on this new group that a lot of people hadn't heard of, but some had, and they were called the Beatles. And then they brought on the Rolling Stones. And then one of my all-time favorites, the Young Rascals. And every week they were bringing on more and more rock bands. So in 64, being 12 and going on to 13 later in the year, that was what we talked about in school on Monday morning, the Ed Sullivan show. And it was just incredible. And it was funny because my son bought me the DVD of the broadcast one Christmas. And so myself and my other friend who was a big Beatles fan, we watched it together.
Shout out to Bobby Y.
Bobby Y, my guitar partner. And he and I watched that. And then we're watching it. I didn't even realize it, but they had this Broadway play doing a little scene from Oliver. And I'm looking at him and going, that kid looks like Davy Jones from the Monkees. And I never knew it. Davy Jones, 15 at the time, was on the in the Oliver Broadway play, and he was on Ed Sullivan just before the Beatles came on. And so that show lasted from 48 to 71. I think they started on radio and they went to TV. So it was on a long time. But Ed Sullivan, and if he didn't like you, you didn't get on the show. Or if he didn't like you after you got on the show, you didn't get back on the show.
So I'm assuming the Doors never went back on, or did they?
I think they were just on the
one time. Yeah.
And he didn't like Elvis Presley because Elvis the Pelvis was moving too much. But it was an incredible show to see that kind of talent. As a young kid in the '60s, that my parents never went anywhere outside of the house. We very seldom went anywhere entertainment wise. So to see these acts and stuff on TV was very important to keep up with what was going on. So it was an incredible variety show. With every now and then it seemed like there's somebody that they had on. It was a woman that Paul McCartney always mentions. I forget her name. I'm sorry I brought it up. It was a fat lady that was on there. She was a comedian. But I've heard Paul McCartney.
Shelley Winters?
No, she was that.
Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I think of Jonathan Winters.
We'll add it to some other podcast
in the future
someday. But that was the Ed Sullivan show, and it was a lot of enjoyment. And that's one of the TV shows that honestly, in like '64, I can say that every Sunday night, my family watched that together. Even my brother, who was he was a senior in high school, was a junior in high school, early '64 when the Beatles came on, but he watched to see the acts. But that was one show that we all watched by a black and white TV and didn't miss together. And it's a fond memory. One of the rarities of us all being in front of the TV together.
Well, that's got to be big too, because of course during that time the access wasn't there. So if you watched the Ed Sullivan show, you saw what the new groups or the things happening, and it gets you kind of caught up with pop culture and stuff. And in that sense,
well, you knew them because we had the top 40 that came out in your local drugstore / convenience store. We had two of them in town. They would have the top 40 from the radio station every week. So when we got out for lunch, we bolted down there to make sure that the day they came out, we got the top 40 to know what the songs were. Right. So we tied that right in with the Ed Sullivan show to see them. And then, of course, the Monkees came on later on in the '60s. So that was a whole genre, but that was the music side. Not necessarily all of the TV side, but Ed Sullivan really brought those bands into our homes, especially the British Invasion.
Right. Wow. Ed Sullivan.
Moving to number 11, the last one outside the top 10. This was a tough one but this is one of my all-time favorite shows. I watched it. I'm a true Trekkie. One of my favorite actors, and I had the privilege of hanging out with him at Heath's movie premiere a couple of years ago for the Star City Murders was Tim Russ, who's been in 4 of the series, Star Trek series. He wasn't in the original. He was just a baby back then. But William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, and Star Trek. I remember it as a kid, and I can remember the ads on TV mentioning that it was the adult science fiction movie. The yeoman had the short skirts, and the first interracial kiss on TV happened in this show between Nichelle Nichols and I was going to say William Conrad. Where's that come from? William Shatner.
That would have been a different show with William Conrad.
And they had so many characters on that show, different actresses that were, trying to make it in the '60s, and even Gene Roddenberry, his wife, was on that show, and then continued on some of the other franchise series. And that was a show that, when Star Trek, the next one came out, I made sure I recorded every week and watched that, even though we didn't have cable for like 3 months, which was like it was like a jail sentence.
It's like a kid not having a phone today.
Well, that's right.
Or any of us, really.
It was, but it was a place where no man had gone before. A 5-year journey, and the episodes were incredible. I remember it was the first. I think it was the first TV show that I subscribed through CBS Entertainment, and every 2 weeks I would get a 2-episode disc on this beautiful cover. But it was VHS.
Oh, it was like the Columbia House or something. Was it Columbia House or one of those?
CBS?
Oh no, man, no. CBS did have. No, CBS did have.
But there was 79 episodes, so I ended up with like 39 or 40 of these tapes, and they were tapes, videotapes, VHS, and they cost. I don't know. They cost a lot of money back then. I still have them.
Weren't cheap.
I won't get rid of them. I get them stored away. It's just incredible because every videotape has the write-up of the episode and has a nice cover shot of the episode, or one of the episodes, because there's 2 per tape. And then I did read Star Trek Memories by William Shatner with Chris Kresge. Not the amazing Kreskin, but Chris Kreskin. It's a good read. I recommend it. And it's amazing. I think William Shatner just turned 95.
95.
Yeah. But he was in so many things before this and after this. But I just can't say enough about this series and the impact it had on me, on my television, and watched it through the years, and the movies, and all of the follow-up series that were offshoots of this.
I'm trying to look up my favorite Star Trek episode. It's the one where Kirk fights like the lizard monster. Is it Journey to Athena or something like that? It was called the episode. I can't find it. There's probably, I know my good buddy Ando is probably hitting himself, be like, "So why can you not know this?"
Okay. I don't recall which one. That was one of the plots. Arena. Oh, yes, Arena.
Season 1, episode 18, from bringing hostility into the solar system, a super alien race brings Captain Kirk into mortal combat against the reptilian captain of an alien ship he was pursuing. Yeah, I love that episode.
Yeah, there's so many good episodes. I don't have one favorite.
Yeah.
With Star Trek. So with that brings us to our top 10. Hope you're enjoying these. I hope it's bringing back some memories, or giving you some ideas to go back in the past and see some of the older shows that maybe you weren't quite aware of. But number 10 is a show that I watched and go, who would watch this show? So one episode is that this isn't for me. And then I got a call from my nephew And he says, "Oh, did you see?" And I go, "Yeah." He says, "Wasn't that wild? That was like this, like the greatest show." And I go, "I didn't like it." How could you not like it? I go, "It just didn't do it for me." So this show aired in 1989, ran 9 seasons. So it made my list as number 10, but I didn't start watching it until 1993. So I missed the first like 4 seasons. I had to have some surgery, and I'm in the hospital, major surgery. I'm stitched up like a Thanksgiving turkey, and I'm under heavy morphine. And all you've got is one of those old-fashioned TVs that you have to press the dial to switch the rotary dial to the right channel, and you've got like 4 channels. You got to skip 3 blank channels to get to one. And if you go to channel 2 and you're on channel 12, you can't go back to 12. You got to go all the way around to get to 12.
Wait, this sounds like an episode of the show you're about to mention.
No, well, I don't want to give it away. So I'm in it. It is a comedy, and I'm in the hospital, and I hit the channel, and the show's on, and I start watching it. And I was a little depressed from the surgery, in a lot of pain. And all of a sudden, I had the need to laugh. The show made me laugh, and I had to grab a pillow, and I had to grab a second pillow to hold the pain in. And then I finally had to grab the remote control to change the channel because I was laughing too hard. And I had to catch my breath, get rid of the laugh. But then I'm sitting there and going, I got to go back. I got to find out. And I have to hit 11 more channels to get back to the channel it was on. And I go through the same routine for a half an hour. Well, I know the suspense is killing you. But that show makes it my number 10 all-time favorite was Seinfeld. And that's kind of the story. And I wouldn't miss it after that. It was on Thursday night, 9 p.m. I remember the final episode. Wasn't crazy about the final episode myself. I thought
the trial and then the jail.
Yeah. It didn't leave me with a good taste. But recently, I guess about 2 years ago, we went through and watched every episode in order, and what an amazing show! It's and then I go back and I watch some other show. I watched a movie, and there's Seinfeld's father in the movie. George, the 4 of them together.
Tippy toe.
So,
I was in the pool.
My wife's name is Elaine, so enough said. But she's a better dancer. There's no question.
Yes, she is.
From Shrinkage to
Kramer, the serial killer storyline in California, or these pretzels are making me thirsty.
Yeah. Kenny Rogers.
What?
My favorite episode. Seinfeld episode. I
don't know if I know this.
Kramer and Newman are playing a game in Jerry's apartment. And they have to leave, and they want Jerry to be in charge. And then they carry the game out to the subway. And there is a subway, and then Kramer says, "I've got you now. I'm going. I'm bringing all my troops to the Ukraine." I think it was, and there's a guy, big man, says, and they didn't like the way he talked about the Ukraine, and he said, "I'm from the Ukraine," and then the game that they've been playing for weeks just goes flying in the air. Well, that's the way the summer of 1963 was for me and my family, playing Risk. We couldn't stop playing Risk. And one day I was playing with my youngest sister. Not 63. It was 73. My youngest sister, I think, was 11, and she was beating me. and I was down in one army in the Congo, and she felt bad for me, and so she didn't wipe me out. She went to fight someone else, and I ended up rallying and winning the game, and she still talks about it.
I never knew you rallied troops in the Congo.
53 years later, she's still saying, "I should have never let you win that game."
Shout out to Auntie Karen. Shout out.
So she's a little bit more tough when it comes to playing games these days.
Okay, that's
the Seinfeld.
Oh yeah, this is
number 10.
Fantastic choice. One of my all-time favorites as well. So could talk hours about this one. Instead, because we have to move on, we go to number 9.
Number 9.
Another favorite.
In my family, number 9 means a lot.
Yes, it does.
And it's not from the Beatles. Revolution. Number 9. When my grandson was about a year and a half, he was just starting to talk a little bit. And I said to him, I says, "Carson, how much is 3 times 3? He said, 9. I said, "How much is 81 divided by 9? 9. I says, "What's the square root of 81? 9. I said, "How much is 5 plus 4? 9. I said, now remember, he's a year and a half. I said to him, "Are you a mathematician?" He goes, "Yeah." And we got that on video. It was just an incredible day. And every now and then he says, "Papa, show me the video when I was young." So we have a lot of fun with that. But number 9, it's hard to believe this is a number 1. But number 9 was on from 1959 to 64. Again, I was 7 when it started. Watched every episode with my brother until maybe the last year or so. And just it was an incredible writer. Rod Serling. That was his show. And there was just so many episodes. Season 2, episode 15, one of the craziest. Who thinks of these things? But it's episode 15 called The Invaders. And there's this old woman who's in just, old clothes and a babushka. She's at a cabin out in the middle of nowhere, and she looks like she lost 3 of her front teeth, and she's making dinner. And all of a sudden she hears a noise, and there's no talking in this TV show, which was unheard of in 1959. And then she hears noise in the rafters, and she looks up, and there's an alien ship in her house. They've landed on her house, and they get out, and they're climbing in the rafters of her house, and she ends up attacking them. And at the end of the show, you find out that they're calling off the mission and returning to the United States. It was some other planet, and it was a U.S. spaceship.
Oh, that's classic.
They said that the people here are too big. They're like monsters, and they're too violent, and they returned to the U.S. Another one of my favorite episodes.
What show was this called again?
The Invaders.
No, the show we're talking about.
Did I mention Rod Serling?
You did. You didn't mention the show.
I'm sorry. I got so excited about the episodes. It's called The Twilight Zone. Thanks for being my savior.
Picture a man doing a podcast, but forgets to tell the name of the show.
Well, I thought they were going to call in with guesses. The second episode was the next season 3, episode 24. It was called To Serve Man. That was the episode. These alien ships come to Earth. And these men are like 7 feet tall. And they have no hair. They have these giant heads. And they have these great outfits. I wanted to get one from my band days, but I couldn't get one. And what they're doing is that they're telling everyone around the world how great their planet is, and there's no famine, and there's no you don't need money, everything's free, and so they get all these people that are can't like cattle. They're climbing onto these spaceships. But there's a book that the head guy brought, and they had their decoders trying to decode this book. They couldn't figure out what it was because it was in their native language. And so everybody's going on, and finally this one scientist decides he's going to go too to see what this planet's all about. And he's in line, just getting ready to go on, and his assistant comes running. She says, I cracked the code. I cracked the code to serve man the book. It's a cookbook. And they throw him on the ship. They were getting all these humans. They were gonna be their cattle, if you will. And then my last one favorite episode is from season 5, number 3. It's called Nightmare at 20,000 Feet. And it's a very personal episode for Solo, Heath and his sister. But it's about a person who is just recovering from a nervous breakdown. He's on a plane. It's played by William Shatner from Star Trek fame. And he's afraid of flying. And so he's sitting next to the window, and the plane's flying through a lightning storm. And he looks out on the wing, and he sees what looks like about a 300-pound gorilla or 800-pound gorilla fooling around with the engines. And he's trying to tell the flight attendant. And the flight attendant's trying to calm him down and give him a sedative to calm him down. And he keeps looking out the window, and it's still there. And then every time somebody else looks out, he's not there. He's only there when William Shatner looks out the window. So finally, he can't take it, and he opens the window, and he's like falling out the window. Plane goes through the storm and finally lands, and they see him in a straitjacket on the runway, and he knows he's right, and everybody else is wrong because nobody else saw him. And then he looks up at the wing, and he sees the engines all torn apart from the what he called a gremlin,
or as we called fat lips.
And we called fat lips because one time he opened the window, the shade, and looked in the window, and the gorilla was up against the window with his lips. So that's been a kind of a family thing called Fat Lips. But the Twilight Zone, incredible show, incredible writing, and to this day, I still enjoy watching it. There's so many episodes. He was just such a brilliant writer, Raj Searle.
I got to give 2 shout outs to a couple favorite of my episodes. Of course, the Burgess Meredith one where he's in the vault when the bomb goes off.
Oh, if I only had more time.
Yes, that was cool. And of course, he steps on something, his glasses. And then there's one where I don't remember the title, but they're all at a diner, and one of them's an alien, and they're trying to figure out. It's one of the best. Just there was multiple characters that are in the diner going back and forth, and of course, it's when it's revealed at the end, it's pretty shocking. But that was.
Oh, you don't want me to give it away?
Oh no, we can't. It's spoilers. He takes off his hat.
It was a cool
thing has the eye. Yeah. We could spoil. It's fine.
Yeah, it's amazing. After all these years, even in episodes that I haven't seen, I still remember like it was yesterday.
Yeah, no,
because it had such an impact. There was one with Bill Mummy. He played this kid that had this power to make somebody a Jack in the Box.
Oh,
and they would just
actually William Shatner was in 2 episodes. He was the one where you get the note from that thing at the diner.
Oh yeah, no.
That's another one.
Yeah,
he was in. That's a great series. One of the best.
Okay,
all right.
Number 8. My favorite baseball player of all time was number 8 for the Boston Red Sox, Kyle Yastrzemski. And one of my favorite all-time shows is number 8. This show had a special impact on me. Not only that I liked the show, it was only on for 3 seasons, but me and my family had just moved for the first time from New England, and we left, and we moved to a place called Sanborn, New York, just outside of Niagara Falls. And so this show started while we were living there in 1985, and then during the time it was on the air, 1988, we left there and moved to Boston, actually more specifically Wellesley, Massachusetts. This show was on for 3 seasons, but the show is one of my all-time favorites because during that time this show was on the air, I was battling cancer. And I spent a lot of time in the hospital with chemo and surgery. Didn't know if I was going to make it. But a shout out to Roswell Park Institute because they saved my life. I was 33 years old, and my prognosis was I had less than 9 months to live. So this show was kind of a bridge for me, a bridge to my roots back in Boston. And it also was a show that my son, who at the time was 10 years old, really picked up on and really enjoyed. And just the relationship between this private detective and this man, this muscle for hire guy befriended him, and they worked together. And then I think it was the first episode. Yeah, first episode. One of my favorite Western guys, Chuck Connors, came in, who was the rifleman. He played King Corin. King is an Irish name. King Cochran. He played like the mob head, and so it was a great show. To this day, I really enjoy it. The lead actor left us way too early. But the show is called Spencer for Hire. And they survived 3 years. It was canceled after 2 years. They made a change in his love interest on the show. And that didn't go over extremely well. But the fans went on a letter writing campaign and got the show back on the air for a 3rd season, which we were thrilled because we had just moved to Boston. And that 3rd season, and they filmed everything on location. And I worked at Wellesley College. And so I found out in a staff meeting that they were going to film an episode like they did the previous year that I wasn't there for on campus. So they came and set up where I officed in Alumni Hall, and they had all of their people working out of there, and they had a caterer set up. It was actually Robert York's brother who did the catering for the show. But my son, who was in middle school at the time, 13 years old, I let him skip school to be on campus so he could watch the filming of his favorite show, Spencer for Hire. And then I worked with our liaison to the film crew, trying to get him on the show. And I worked through her, but they didn't have a role for a 13-year-old boy, but they did for 2 Wellesley co-eds. So I got them to hire for the day. Well, they didn't. It was non-paying. They were extras, but I got them to be in the scene with Robert York and Avery Brooks, 2 of my directors in the show. So that particular episode, they're in it, and every year I send it to them and remind them that they have great backsides because you only see their backs. They're walking in front of Spencer and Hawk. Down the side.
I remember you having a viewing party with them over, and everyone's screaming at the last part.
That's right. I lived in campus housing. We had this big old Victorian house, and I had 16 directors and managers over to watch the viewing party and their guests, and of course my family as well. And it was a fun time. So that episode helped me get through my battle with cancer because it was 2 things I really had to look forward to. Actually 3. One was the fact that my football team was on their way to the Super Bowl. They lost the Super Bowl, but it helped me get through my illness and being in the hospital. It was the Spencer TV show, which brought me home to my Boston roots. And the third one was, at that time, the Cosby Show. All of a sudden, I became so. I think it was the family connection, knowing that I was in danger of leaving my family. Had at the time, my son was 11, and my daughter was 3 when we first moved there, and thinking that I wouldn't see them again, I was just drawn to the Cosby Show. But Spencer for Hire did a lot for me from just a holistic standpoint. Watching the show, I wish I had gotten to meet him while he was on campus, but
I did.
My son did. He shook his hand.
They were. They completed a scene. It was Avery Brooks and Robert Urich walking back, and I was like, and they were egging me on, go say hi. So I ran up to him, a 13-year-old kid, and I remember Avery Brooks was a little like, but he gave me a wink, and then Robert Urich, I shook his hand, and I told him, "Good job." That's what I said to him. Out of anything I could pronounce, like, "Good job." And then I'm running back like a proud kid. So that was a big moment for me.
That was big. I remember coming home that night.
Oh, so excited.
You were so excited. So I did the right thing by letting you stay out of school.
Thank you for that.
All right. So a little walk down the 80s memory lane. But I'm going to take you back in time with number 7. Number 7 was it was a show that, again, my childhood, my brother and I watched a lot of that going on. We watched a lot of shows, but this was a show that was on from 55 to 62, 7 years. It was part of a trilogy. It was a Western, and it starred Clint Walker, and he was the man. He was Cheyenne Bodie, and the show we didn't miss. My brother and I would make sure we watched that show every week, and he was our hero. They kind of tied it in with a trilogy. They brought in Ty Harden and did Bronco Lane, and then they also brought in Will, played Sugarfoot. Will, I can't.
The producer is slacking.
Yeah, that's all right. I it's not about that, but
Mom's saying it. Mom in the background. What is it, Mom? Hutchins?
Will Hutchins. Thank you.
Hey.
And so they would rotate the series, but the one that we really enjoyed was Cheyenne. Naturally, I have all of the DVDs of this and watch it faithfully. We're about ready. This is probably going to be kicked in this summer when the regular TV shows are off and we have a little bit more time watching my favorite Westerner from my collection. Still Cheyenne, the books.
Oh, nice.
The late 50s. Still in great shape.
And Brody.
Cheyenne Bodie. This is And the Lost Gold of Lion Park by Warner Brothers. And then at one time I had the Heartland Creation horse and cowboy figure. All I have left is the broken down box that says Cheyenne, and it's the TV logo from the show. So I know it's all decrepit and it's broken, and it, even the horse. I can't get rid of it because it's just
it's a certain
part of your childhood.
I mean, not my childhood, but my 20s hood. I was at a video store and there was something like that. It was like a display of Ocean's 11, like Brad Pitt and Clooney and Kevin Centazzo, my cousin. Everyone knows Kevin. He negotiated with the video store clerk to give that to him, and he like put it in my room, and it was just there. And I'm like, "Oh, you got it for me." It was pretty good. Anyway, can't throw it away either.
Yeah, his house looks like mine used to look.
Kevin.
Before we downsized, and he's. I guess it must be in the Centazzo blood.
Oh,
that's why we changed our name to Solo.
Yeah.
So I just got to step away for a minute.
We'll take
to do a little bit move as we get into the top 6,
and we'll be back after this word. All right.
I just had to go do my 100 push-ups so I could finish
I think
this.
You did 120. Anyway. All right.
We're moving to number 6. And number 6 Yeah, number 6. This show brings back a lot of memories, and I kind of watch it every now and then on the channel because they have a channel for this one show. It was on from 57 to 63, and it was just one of those shows that talked about the family unit in the 50s and mother and father. And the mother was always dressed up and always made the full dinner and always had ice cream and always had baked everything. But it had 2 brothers, and at that time in 57, it was me and my brother. My sisters hadn't come along yet, and he was the same age as the older brother, and I was the same age as the younger brother. So, needless to say, I picked up the nickname of the younger brother. So, without further ado, I'll mention the show, but it was called Leave It to Beaver. And I don't know why. Could have been the baseball cap, I guess, or the some things I did. But I was called Beaver by my brother. I didn't call him Walt, but it was a compliment. So
Tony,
I used to call him Lumpy, one of Wally's friends. But it's this kind of, we had a okay household and family, but I think between my brother and I, we also all like the Cleavers from Leave It to Beaver. And I went to parochial schools. I had nuns, and I always wanted to teach like Miss Flanders that Beaver had. She seemed kind and cordial and pretty, and we had very strict teachers in school. So it was a show that we watched all the time, and every now and then I'll do this. I'll pull out my little record, my 49th record. It was a lot of money back then. Golden records of Leave It to Beaver. Of course, this says 29 cents. So maybe it was 29 cents. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. It was 29 cents. 29 cents. But, I had to give up like 2 lunches to save enough money to buy Leave It to Beaver. And these are the kind that I believe this is going to be yellow. Yep.
Oh, yellow.
There's yellow.
That's cool.
But it still plays, and I have a bunch of these from the old TV show, especially the old westerns. But Leave It to Beaver, my all-time number 6 show.
One of my favorite episodes is, I think they mow the lawn, but they do it in like all circles, and then they look at it, and it's like because they didn't do the straight lines, they just mowed it fast. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
All right. Move up the list.
We're now in the top 5.
Wow.
Now think
about 20 shows.
Talking 70 years of TV to choose from. And, quite frankly, I didn't go into the new stuff because like Netflix, I don't have HBO. So any of those kind of shows just can't make the list because I just unfortunately don't watch them or don't have. I'm starting through Heath Solo, getting to see some shows he starts recommending. So maybe in 10 years when we do the new top 25, see what happens. We'll be ready.
No, this is finalized.
This is it. Okay. So we're going to number 5. Number 5 is a newer show. It was on for 10 seasons.
10 seasons?
20,
I didn't realize it was on
2013 to 2023. 107 episodes, and it just caught me. It just when that show came on, it was different. It was new. It was fresh. It was magnificent, and I didn't miss it. Did not miss it. The show was on it was on Sundays, and then it came on Thursdays the last season, and we just didn't miss it. And I would talk every week with my brother, and we would talk about The Blacklist, starring James Spader and Megan Boone. It was just one of those things that's why it lasted 10 years. It was just incredible. And there's an ending to this show that I thought was perfect the way it ended. And I'm not going to do is
we won't spoil the end, but we could spoil, because I'm just looking, because 10 seasons, 107 episodes doesn't seem like a lot.
No, did I goof?
No, I don't. It might be two. It's got to be more, no? Because 10 seasons, and it looks like they did full seasons until the last season 12. Let me see.
No.
I'll look it up. You keep talking.
Okay. But
218 episodes.
218? Oh, typo. 218. Okay. Oh, I must have another 118 episodes to catch up on.
It may drop down now if you didn't see them.
Well, I'll tell you, if you ever think of doing this, and you start going year by year and looking at the TV schedules, and then the mid-season replacements, and everything else, there's a lot of shows. And so it was like I said, it took me about a month to complete the research. But Blacklist, just a magnificent show, one of the all-time favorites. And made number 5.
James Spader is amazing.
I went back after this. I went back and watched a lot of his other stuff that I hadn't seen before.
Boston Legal.
I had to watch that. I never wanted to watch it because for me, doing a comedy thing for William Shatner, it didn't feel right.
Denny Crane.
Yeah, it just didn't feel right for me. But after seeing this, I had to see James Spader, and I watched
great.
That was great. That didn't make my top 25, but I think it's up there somewhere. So number 5. So right in line with number 5 is number 4, which number 4 was Friday nights, 10 o'clock, CBS. Wouldn't miss it. It gave us talking points in our conversations. 293 episodes, 14 years. And it's called Bloods.
Correction, there's only 14 episodes. No, I'm just kidding.
Of course, I love Tom Selleck, and Magnum was one of my favorites. Jesse Spoon movies, one of my favorites. I loved his westerns. This show with the Reagans and the multi-generational people at the table. The grandfather, the father, the son.
Sunday dinner, right?
Sunday dinner. That tie right does, because as dysfunctional as my family household could be growing up, my mother always made sure we had Sunday dinner together, and we always had. They're always talking about, I picked up the roast. I picked, same thing. They were Irish. We were Italian, Polish, and Russian. But my mother made it happen. The best Italian cook. She made the best gravy that I ever had in my life, and all the family who would come over always wanted Alice's macaroni and meatballs.
We'd have them on Thanksgiving. That Thanksgiving meal with the antipasta, the soup, the spaghetti and meatballs, the turkey.
And then it's just whether you're watching a ball game or we had the sing-alongs. We had a lot of sing-alongs with the family. Or we'd play, penny ante poker, or somebody needed to talk to somebody. Everybody was available on Sunday, so after church, that was just such a big memory. And then to see a show like Blue Bloods have this centered around. They said that it takes like a whole day just to do the shoot. The couple minute shoot. Dinner scene. Yeah. And Danny Reagan would eat anything you put down. He ate everything. The more, the better. The whole show. NYPD. I worked for many years in New York City, and being tied to New York and everything else, the police, and I have family members who are policemen in cities, and it just meant so much to me. And it was a tear in my eye when the show ended.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So those are the two of the newer shows, 5 and 4, the Blacklist and Blue Bloods. We're getting into the 3. And this show has to be in the top 2. Otherwise, I'll have a brother who will disown me. And I don't have a compulsion complex. If you watch commercials now, this show has been in syndicated for years, but it was on from 1960 to 1968, 8 seasons, 249 episodes, half-hour episode, all black and white. Led to one of the greatest directors of all times coming out of the cast. And it just was an incredible show. It's a show you couldn't miss growing up, right to the end. They had some what do you call them? Spinoffs. Wasn't quite the same, but this is the Andy Griffith. With Don Knotts is the supporting
one of my favorite landlords of all time.
Well, he saved up all his paychecks because he didn't spend any money on bullets because he only had one. But the show, Andy Without a Gun, always bailing Barney out, and then they had Gomer Pyle on the show. Golly, and Aunt B and Andy didn't get along in real life, but they made it work in the show, and it was just a fascinating show down there in Mayberry, and like the All-American Town. And remember one show they had a musician come in. It was played by the actor James Best, and he went off, and then they brought him back, and it was Floyd the Barber. Yeah, I mean, he was just something else. George Lindsay. In that too, he played Goober, Gomer's cousin. He took over the gas station, and just the writing, phenomenal. It was so funny, so wholesome. And one of my favorite episodes had to do with pickle making. Aunt B wanted to beat what was her name, Claire, who won the pickle making every year. So she went to make pickles, and then Andy, Opie, and Barney had to eat all the pickles all year long, and they always tasted like kerosene. So they went and bought all these pickles and changed the pickles, and then Aunt B threw them all out and made them again, and they were worse than ever. And so the show ends. You see Barney at the town line stopping people for speeding. And it was either a $15 ticket or you take 2 gallons of pickles with you on the way. And that's how the show ended. But a great show that you can see on MeTV and other avenues now. And if you've never seen Andy Griffith Show, watch it. I'm sure you'll like it. So now we're getting into the top 2.
And I thought number 2 was going to be your number 1. And I think a lot of people, if they guessed that know you, would say because technically this was your favorite for a while. I think until you thought about it, maybe.
It came to this top 25. This show originally was number 1 all the way through ranking the shows. And then all of a sudden I realized something, which I'll talk about when I talk to number 1. But number 2, this was my show. Every Friday night, 7:30, again, reminding you that 7:30 was prime time. I was 12 years old when it first began. It was in black and white. And then seasons 2 through 4 were in color. Starred one of my favorite actors of all time. And another actor who was an incredible actor, who had some heart issues in this one of the seasons. But it was like a Western James Bond.
Yeah.
And it was just everything to the start of the show, having the 4 acts, and they would do a brief opening and then come up and just show you the 4 acts. And then after the first act was over, it would change the screen, and then the second, the third, and the fourth.
It was amazing how they did that to the freeze frame, and then it kind of like you saw like a snapshot. Oh, it was so good.
Yeah, and it starred Robert Conrad, as James West, and it was called The Wild, Wild West. And this is the inside the Wild, Wild West. If you're a Wild, Wild West fan and
There you go. Chin. Go to your chin.
haven't read this book, I encourage you to read it. Especially some of the stuff on Robert Conrad. He did all his own stunts.
Oh, wow.
And not only did he do all his own stunts, he got a lot of the other actors to do it, including Dr. Lovelace, Miguelito Lovelace, the midget who played him, Michael Dunn, an incredible actor, who made the show that much better by the villain he played. He did some of his until I think he broke his hip on one of the stunts. Ross Martin in his disguises and his accents, and just incredible. And the train with all the secret compartments and stuff, and a lot of the guest actors too. Again, as part of my collection, I have every comic book ever made from the Wild Wild West.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I have all the originals, and then I have the secondary prints that were made.
Oh, nice.
I think it was in the 90s. And then there's a couple of things I forgot I had that I wanted to show you. Something I'm really proud of. I had this commissioned by an artist. I don't know if it's going to show up.
Just go back to yours. Go back. Down. Yeah, that's going to be a tough one.
Okay. Well, this is a watercolor of the cast from F Troop.
Yeah.
That I had commissioned, which hangs in my den. But the Wild Wild West, in 2001, Rittenhouse put out a trading card series, and as part of that, you might get an autographed card. So I have the complete collection of all the stars.
See if we can get
from.
Oh, go forward. No, backward. Yeah, it's tough. To your.
Okay.
Yeah. Well it looks great, guys. Yeah, it's a tough one to get on the camera for some reason. Probably because of the blur.
Well, let me see if I can
get a card out at least.
Get one out.
Don't ruin it if you know.
Yeah, no, it's unfortunate.
Right. Well, it's beautiful. It's a plaque with all the cards. It's
all the It's Bob Heron, Zig Valdez, J.D. Connor, Gene Hale, Lloyd Bachner, Ed Campbell, Pete Doran, Robert Conrad, Yvonne Craig.
Oh, one of my favorites.
Don Rickles.
Oh, Donnie Rickles.
Richard Kyle from Jaws. Sue Ann Langdon, Barbara Luna, and Henry Beckham.
Oh.
And this is the second one signed by Robert Conrad.
Cool. That's cool. I like that.
But Friday night, 7:30, friends wanted to go out. Yeah, I'm watching a Wild Wild West. Because you couldn't.
Yeah.
There was no seeing it again unless you caught it on reruns. So if you didn't see it, you didn't see it. It took place in the post-Civil War era, which is another fascinating time for me. And the acting, the writing, everything, the show. But after 4 years, it got canceled because of violence. No. CBS said it was too violent, and they were fighting to get it off the air. But amazing actor and stuntman himself. And then just a side note about Robert Conrad, he had a standing challenge. And after they would film, they had a ring set up. He would box anybody. He would fight anybody, not fight, but box. Right. He was an avid boxer, and he would box anyone who wanted to challenge. The lead stuntman on the show, you may have heard of him, Red West. There's a ton of westerns in the 60s, 70s, and did some acting too. But he was the head stuntman for that.
I remember he challenged Sylvester Stallone later in life that he could be
Red Western.
No.
Well, Robert Conrad. They used to have NBC Network of the Stars.
Oh yeah, Battle of the Network Stars.
Yeah, and he was a captain, and they were tied. His team and Welcome Back, Kotter.
Gabe Kaplan?
Gabe Kaplan. They were tied. So look at Gabe Kaplan. Was the mustache, curly hair. a little on the heavier side. And then Robert Conrad, who's like, chiseled granite. And so Robert Conrad challenged him to a race for the championship. And Gabe Kaplan beat him.
Oh, Gabe! Hey, welcome back.
He beat him. I don't think Robert Conrad ever mentioned it again. But and then he started doing those commercials with the battery on his shoulder. Array of act, knock it off my shoulder. But so we've come 24 to 2 to number 1, and this is where Wild Wild West could have been number 1, but after I started looking at my list of 150, I realized that a bunch of what I had down were the same show. I had multiple listings for the same show, and what it did was it all came back to the number 1 show, which I chose, which is called The Walt Disney Show. Probably the biggest television show of my life, from the Mouseketeers to all the different serials that they had on that show, to movies that they would show, to historic figures.
So just to clarify, so the Walt Disney Show, so they had a bunch of shows under that umbrella. So
yeah, they had the Wonderful World of Disney. They had the main thing of this is mainly the Wonderful World of Color from 61 to 69. I'm not talking about the Mickey Mouse Club show.
Right.
This is the Wonderful World of Disney. And they had shows such as Finn and Marty, Hardy Boys, Davy Crockett, Scarecrow, 9 Lives of Elphaba Baca, Swamp Fox, Texas John Slaughter, Zorro, and they were all on, and they had them like serials. So they would show, the show would be an hour, they'd have 15-minute serials, like that.
I remember Disney Channel in the 80s started showing them.
Started showing all that.
And that's where
then they took them all off, and then made it impossible to get the DVDs and stuff. But still, from that period of time, my Walt Disney stamp collection book. I mean, it's just amazing how many things I have from Disney. But this is my
Davy Crockett.
Oh,
the Wild Frontier.
This is from the Davy Crockett movie.
Go back towards you.
Well, maybe just to work.
Good for right there. That's it.
This is a set of trading cards from the movies. Zorro, and the set of trading cards from Zorro.
Nice.
Which was huge. Big fans of both of those. The record from the show, the series, Fox. Leslie Nielsen.
Was that Leslie?
Leslie Nielsen.
Don't you and Bob watch that every year?
Yeah, we watch it.
Or is that Scarecrow?
Myself, both.
Oh, okay.
Myself and a friend, we have an annual Swamp Fox Day where we watched all 80 episodes of the Swamp Fox because it was one of our favorites as a kid. Another one of the movies, record from Texas John Slaughter. One of my all-time favorites, of course, Zorro. The original record. This was only 25 cents. And the records from the movie Davy Crockett, soundtracks. And then, again, we've got just the original comic books from
Davy Crockett.
Nice. Swamp Fox.
Beautiful swamp.
And the final piece of evidence to make this number 1 over Wild Wild West,
all right,
was my all-time favorite movie, and when we watch my friend every year. We have a big Saturday thing, and we watch this every year, starring Patrick McGoon, the Swamp Fox,
the Scarecrow,
Romney Marsh. This is the original comic book, and we watched that original Disney movie. and they were all in color, even though they were made in the early 60s, because Walt Disney had the foresight to make them in color.
Right.
But no TV show impacted me more than Walt Disney and the great entertainment that Walt Disney put together for families, primarily kids. And I always wished he was my uncle. I always said, I wish Walt Disney was my uncle. Imagine that.
Yeah, throw your name in the hat, probably, because I think.
And he died from lung cancer, I think, at age 64. It was a shame. But incredible man, such talent and such entertainment, and it still lives today. I mean, new stuff today, Disney's keeps putting out, but I go back to my roots and these TV shows, and I'm proud to be able to share with you my 25, and hope some of them are yours.
Oh, thanks, Dad. This was amazing. You put a lot of work into this, and I just love hearing the stories. It's honestly put the mic on and let you go. That's where I get it from.
Well, you did say you'd help me clean up the mess after I'm done.
I think I have nieces and nephews that can pitch in, but this is a great list. I mean, from Man from Uncle to Bonanza to The Twilight Zone to Leave It to Beaver, Andy Griffith Show, Wild Wild West. Oh man. Great list. Star Trek. Got a little bit of everything. A lot of Westerns, which...
don't forget Downton Abbey.
Oh, yeah, Downton Abbey. Yeah, I was going to recap them all, but I figure...
No.
But no.
That was probably the biggest surprise.
That was a surprise. But I mean, just talking to you, and I know how it impacted you, Downton Abbey. I mean, just the excitement and just how you were so into it. It happens. But no, this was great. Thank you so much for sharing.
I have one question for you.
Okay.
Did you remember to press record?
I did.
Okay,
yes, I did. Yes, I did. I double checked. So, all right. Thank you all for listening to the Film List. This has been a great special edition episode. Top 25 favorite films. Remember, you can go to favorite TV shows. Remember, go to dvrpodcast.com. Check out all we're doing, the backlog of what we've covered and what we're going to cover. And you can go to patreon.com/DVR. And for a couple bucks a month, you can get a exclusive pods ad-free and pods before anyone else. So I think we're out of here. We got to let the family in to the studio, so I can't keep them out anymore. Dad, again, it was a pleasure. Ken Solo, everyone, and thank you for being on the Film List. Any final words before we get out of here?
Watch TV.
Watch TV. We'll see you next time.
All right.